people, welcome back to the Propagandist channel. We're doing our reaction to the next of the RWBY OST, specifically Volume 2. Now, we started off, of course, with Volume 1 last time, and that was quite a big video. It was way over an hour long, so I'm hoping that this one isn't actually quite that long this time round, but then again, I'm thinking, you know, for these OSTs, I'm sort of thinking that my intro section of the video might actually not need to be too long, just so that we can get straight to the music itself. But yeah, so I mean, we've started this aspect now of our reaction to RWBY content, something which, in retrospect, I think really I probably should have been doing actually as I was watching each volume, rather than leaving it all to this stage, but better late than never and all that. And yeah, so what's been interesting actually, I mean, obviously, there's two things really, actually, that I think are noteworthy. The first being, of course, that as you'd expect, and what we found with obviously the Volume 1 OST, is that a lot of these songs, of course, relate to specific characters. They tell us a bit about who they are, or they at least allude to aspects of their characterization. The other aspect of this was that, interestingly, there were tracks in the Volume 1 OST which I don't actually remember playing in Volume 1 at any point, but which I certainly do remember playing in later volumes. So I'm wondering if there's going to be anything similar with this Volume 2 OST. I feel like the answer is possibly. Though I did also notice that in the Volume 2 OST there's at least a couple of tracks which are basically remixes of each other. Again, similar to what there was in the Volume 1 OST as well. So, but having said that, you know, a lot of the tracks in this one seem to only be about 3 minutes long. So overall, this one, well, this video in total may end up not being quite as long as the first one. I mean, then again, you know, I'll spend as much time as I need to listening to these things. But there's definitely going to be some interesting tracks, I think, in this one, some which I've already listened to before in my own time. I know that Caffeine, for example, is in this particular OST. If you don't know which one Caffeine is, it's the piece of music that is most commonly associated with tea and coffee, and it's a good, you know, a good pounding tune for a bit of an action sequence and all that. So, yeah, there should be some good ones here. Like I say, I think we'll keep the intro section fairly short. It's a grey day, by the way, here where I am in the UK at the moment, hence why, lighting-wise, it may look like one half of my face is completely cast in darkness, whilst the other one is brightly lit. But it's not too bad and all that, I think it'll be fine. So let's get to the reaction itself. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. So, once again I'm using Internet Archive for this, because it has a convenient compilation of all the tracks. So, no lyrics on screen as with the Volume 1 OST, but then again, you know, I've heard some of these songs before, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So there's fewer tracks that we're going to be going through this time. I think there's 11 in total, whereas obviously with the Volume 1 OST there were about 12 of them, and like I say, some of them are quite big, about 4 or 5 minutes. Most of them in this instance are around about sort of the 3-minute mark, or just over. So, like I say, this episode shouldn't be as long as the previous one. So we're starting off with Time to Say Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. 3, 2, 1, go. So this is the volume theme. The lyrics of this one are quite interesting. I've said before how, you know, Volume 1, This Will Be the Day, is probably my favourite volume theme. This one also is a pretty good one. The opening lyrics of this particular song, you know, this point where it bends and breaks and that kind of thing, it's very interesting considering where RWBY ends up in Volume 9. It's sort of like the early volumes, the volumes 1 to 3, have a bit of an edge to them, but then later volumes are actually, well, sometimes quite jovial, except for Volume 8. So I've never heard the full version though of this theme. It's the first time actually listening to the whole thing. Yeah, I will repeat what I said in the previous video. It is a shame that I don't have lyrics on screen, because there are some times where the music and the vocals sort of go together so well. This is a weird thing to say, but the vocals I sometimes find hard to tell what's been sung, with the exception of some lines, like the opening one, the sort of bit where she is singing the chorus. Someone else can claim a victory. I got that. Just a guitar riff at the end. Oh, never mind. Time to fly. Okay, that's that one. So the next one's just called Die, which sounds quite ominous. 318. This is familiar. Where was this one in Volume 2? Again, I can't quite tell what's been sung, because the music's so loud. So the vocals just end up sounding like another instrument in the background. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Was this in the food fight? At the start of Volume 2? No. Yes? Maybe? No? No. Where was this in Volume 2? I don't... This is another track that I don't remember, but it feels familiar, as though I have heard it somewhere. Something Left Behind. I mean, maybe it's also the quality of my earphones, because obviously these are not the best quality, probably, but again, I can still hear the music fairly fine through them. I'm going to sound like such an old person sat here going, I can't tell what they're singing. It's like your old granny complaining she can't tell what actors on the TV are saying. Feeling everywhere when you see it growing. Time to die. Was that the food fight? I can't remember. It feels like maybe, but at the same time I'm doubting myself. Oh, this is the song at the dance, Shine. Yes, it's 4 minutes 20, so this is one of the longer ones on this soundtrack. When the Stars Align for Jean and Pera. This is going to go into... no. That was going to go into a soundtrack for when Cinder's infiltrating the CCT.
From the outside it looked so bright, but nothing felt bright to me. Like
feels bright to me.
With no sun, like a night that has no day. My heart was eclipsed by the dark, then something changed. I saw a ray of light come through. The tiniest of sparks came into view.
I'm wondering who this might be related to most of all. Because obviously this is the longer version of the tune from the dance scene. But obviously you know a lot of these tunes tend to relate to certain characters. So who would this be? So I think you'll see a Jean and Pera because it's in that scene with them, but is it to do with Pera? Because Pera's whole shtick is that everyone puts her on a pedestal, so she's actually in quite a lonely place in life. Then Jean comes along and treats her pretty normally. Time to make up your mind. Okay, maybe it's about both Jean and Pera technically then. Make up your mind. It's a bit like Jean, make up your mind. Go with Pera, don't go with Weiss. Good tune. Apologies if I'm not reacting much, just because I'm trying to listen to the lyrics. It's about leaving something behind. So leaving your infatuation with Weiss behind and realising that Pera is really the person who cares about you. It's a good one. Never heard the full version of that one before, but yeah, it's got to be Jean and Pera together actually, rather than specifically about one or the other. Okay, this one's called Dream Come True.
You'll never get that girl. She don't see in you the things that I can see. Girls as cold, it ain't meant to be.
Is this about Weiss rejecting Jean? I don't remember this song from the OST, at least from any point of Volume 2.
Maybe I'm too tall and not your type, but I'm not giving up, I'll get it right.
Not too tall, not your your type. Worth it all. This one is 4 minutes 12, this one, or 13. So it's another long one. What do I do attempt to make you notice me? Again, this could be about John and Pyrrha. It was a bit early that felt like maybe it was about how Weiss was constantly rejecting John. So is this about Pyrrha hoping that John would notice her? It's got me thinking about something. Maybe I'll revisit it in the post-reaction discussion. It's a bit to do with character shipping, namely John and Weiss. I don't know why, but this song has prompted thoughts about that, which I might come to at the end. Again, another song that I don't remember this playing in the volume itself. I say, what do I have to do to make you notice? It sounded like that was what was just sung then. That's what was being sung. Notice me. So yeah, it's from Pyrrha's POV, that song, I'm guessing. Yeah. So a couple of songs there relating to John and Pyrrha. Okay, next one is Caffeine. So here's a good track. This one I've listened to a few times before in my own time, because it is a good one. This is when Team Coffee shows up, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not going to dance. Fuck it, I just said I wasn't going to, and already I'm bopping my head to it. I do know the lyrics to this one. This was a great track to introduce Team Coffee to. Go on to the beat. This one's only just over 3 minutes. It'll be over before you know it, this one. This track. I've no idea what this looks like, me bobbing my head on the camera. I probably look like the right Rufus. You're sitting in one position, drinking tea, and I've got the heat of the computer coming off me. It's kind of warm.
I hope you like it hot. Grab yourself a mug, cause I made a fresh pot. Come and get a dose of my kick-ass Java. Fueling your addiction with this thick black lava. We can do up an espresso or the cappuccino way. Sure to get your fix, Vinci or Grande. Sugar, Splendor, equal, maybe sweet and low. Everybody's happy when they're hanging with Joe. Let's go!
Great track. Whoever wrote this one, they did a great job. There we go. Right, next one is All Our Days. 4 minutes 37. This is probably the longest on this soundtrack, so let's see this one. Is this another one that I don't really remember from the volume itself?
Long ago, before we met, I dreamed about you. The peace you'd bring, the songs we'd sing, the way you'd make things new.
You make things new, the peace you bring.
And one day you arrived, I heard your angel cry. Helpless, small and perfect, welcome to your life. And on that day, I made a vow, whispered and true. No matter what, no matter how, I made this promise to you.
Who's this about? My first thought was, is it something to do with RWBY
I
and
will cling,
Summer?
I will clutch, I'll hold on to you. I won't turn away.
Won't turn away.
Won't leave. I won't go. I will stay with you all our days.
Okay, I think I remember where this was in the volume. This was right before Blake decided to go to the dance, because I could have sworn this was in the background. The sun is heading there, and then finds Blake has showed up.
Have passed since then. With time I'd see you grow. Watched you play, knew each day I'd beg the time to slow.
Take the time to slow. Watched you play.
And though I miss the little girl you've made me ever proud.
This has got to be about RWBY and Summer, right? It feels like, well, to me at least, these lyrics could fit sort of the mother-daughter dynamic.
But things in life will rearrange, friends come and go.
Yeah, this was played right just before the dance, when everyone was arriving. Striking. Yeah, that's gotta be relating to Ruby and Summer on one level, right? It just feels to me like that. I don't know what everyone else thinks. Okay, boop. 3 minutes 25. Ren and Nora.
The one thing I could always count on, always there for me. You've been my family, even when all other hope was gone. But for a while, things have seemed so different, like it's the same but so brand new. I can't believe it. When did I start to fall for you?
Falling again. Oh, that got lively.
Have I lost my mind? Have I just been blind? Never to have seen you might be everything I need, everything I dream. All along, yes, it's been right in front of me. We've been together for a long time. Never thought that you and I could be.
This could relate to Ren and Nora, but it also feels a bit pertinent to John and Pera again. You know, I was blind, then I noticed you.
I think, oh well, what am I to do? I didn't know that I would fall in love with you. And what to do right now,
Fall in love with
I
you.
haven't got a clue. I just find
It could be Ren and Nora, but it could equally be John and Pera.
Every chandelier want to share her reign, so come and join me in my castle. We'll crush our enemies.
Join me in my castle.
Them to their knees.
Okay, primarily Ren and Nora then, right? Nora, Queen of the Castle. Just singing the word boop. I mean, the word boop obviously is Nora. We know that. So yeah, it's primarily about Ren and Nora, I feel, that one. But it could also relate a bit to John and Pera, right? Sacrifice. Oh, was this the credits tune? I think it was. That's 4 minutes, this one. Another long one.
Close your eyes now, time for dreams. Death is never what it seems. Did the things you thought you should. All the things they said were good.
All things they said were good.
All your faith in ancient ways leaves you trapped inside a maze. Take the lives of those you need. Throw the depth and break the sea. Reap the
Interesting lyrics.
Born an angel,
Heaven Sent.
Stars will drop out of the sky. The moon will sadly watch the roses die in vain. Lost, no gain, but you're not taking me.
Since this is the credits music, is this a bit of foreshadowing of the dark turn that would come later in Volume 3?
You can try, but I'm free, and you won't conquer me. I will crawl, most of all, I will fall for you. Show them guns and TNTs, blind and keep the people on their knees. Pierce the sky, escape your fate. The more you try, the more you'll just breathe.
Again, this is another one where I wish I had lyrics to it on screen, as I feel like some of this has a bit of a darker tone.
The plans you made were not worth the price they paid. Even
Oh.
with the lives you stole, still no closer to you.
Ozpin, right? Is that who this is really about? The lives you stole, you know, closer to your goal, because you can't destroy Salem. I don't know, that's the vibe I'm getting from it. I think, for me, this sounds like the song is about Ozpin. Of course, we, the audience, wouldn't have probably figured that out back in the day until Volume 4. But, interesting, okay. Right, next one is This Will Be the Day acoustic. So, a remix of the Volume 1 theme, perhaps?
They see you as small and
Yeah.
helpless. They see you as just a child.
It often surprises me how many tunes, when you stop and really listen to them, are actually remixes of each other. So was this featured at any point in Volume 2? I don't remember. I'm sure people in the comments can give me a reminder of where certain tracks were in the volume, if they were featured. It's weird listening to this track without electric guitars and a rapid beat.
Welcome to a world of new solution. Welcome to a world of bloody evolution. In time, your heart will open minds. A story will be told, and victory is in a simple soul.
I mean, I've said obviously how in the Volume 1 OST reaction how the original version of this track is probably my favourite volume theme. This definitely puts a different spin on it though, with different instrumentation. Yeah, I said a moment ago how the earlier volume themes volumes 1 through 3 feels so much darker in some ways, which is ironic because a lot of the early volumes, the actual tone is quite jovial, until obviously volume 3, halfway through, the tone shifts. But then of course, in subsequent volumes, it's always like the opening theme is slightly more jovial, at least from what I remember, with the exception perhaps of volume 8, and the actual tone of the show is much darker. So it's sort of like flipped around. But I guess these early volume themes were definitely giving foreshadowing of the fact that things were not always going to be cheery as RWBY progressed. Okay, 2 more tracks after this. Next one is Time to Say Goodbye. So, remix of the Volume 2 theme, James Landino's Beach Bay remix, whatever that is.
There's a point where it tips, there's a point where it breaks, there's a
Oh,
point where it cracks, there's a point where it
it's like the dance version. This is really jovial, the music. Well, this is a very different version of it. So I wonder why they chose to have a remix version of this one, apart from it obviously just being the main volume theme. Because again, I don't think this was a track featured at any point during the volume. Is it just a bonus track? Yeah, it's the nightclub dance version. I mean, nothing much more to say about the lyrics here. It's just unusual because the Volume 2 theme overall obviously does have that slightly darker edge to it, like the Volume 1 theme, like the Volume 3 theme. But this version kind of almost pulls a bit of that out with the background music. Not my favourite version of this song. I still prefer the original, I think. But that's mainly because I'm not really into sort of dance music. Well, I say that. Nightclub music, that's what I kind of mean. So that one comes towards an end here. And finally, we have This Will Be the Day, James Landino's Magical Girl remix. So, curious what this is going to be. You know, I've never thought of Team RWBY as being magical girls. I don't know, when I think of magical girl anime, I think of very overly cutesy. You know, wand waving, magic casting characters. But I suppose you could sort of say in a loose sense.
You were small and helpless. They see you as just a
Oh.
child. Surprised when they find out that a warrior will soon run wild. Prepare for your greatest moments. Prepare for your finest hour.
It's basically sped up with different instruments. Again, this is the nightclub version. And it's catchy, don't get me wrong, but I think I prefer the original. Oh. James Landino, what have you done to Casey's voice? Probably my least favourite of this OST. Like I did in the previous one, I'll probably highlight which ones I think were my favourites from this. Well, getting towards the end. So from here on, all the other tracks on Internet Archive are basically the individual episode OSTs, which of course we're not going to listen to because they don't have vocals or anything. That's just music that would have been in the background of the episodes themselves. Well, there you go. That was the 11 tracks. The main tracks rather, of the Volume 2 OST. I'm just going to pause that there. Okay, well I definitely have some thoughts and things I want to talk about coming out of that, so let's take a jump cut here. Now let's go to the post-reaction discussion. Right, so yeah, there were definitely some tracks in there, like we had in Volume 1, where you can definitely listen to the lyrics of them and think, this is definitely feels like it's connected to a certain character or certain characters. So obviously, you know, Shine very much feels like Jean and Pyrrha. Boop, of course, primarily is Ren and Nora, possibly also with a little bit of Jean and Pyrrha thrown into the background. There are definitely a few tracks in there that felt like they connected a bit to Jean and Pyrrha, particularly, in certain ways. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense because obviously from what we remember of Volume 2, everything that happens in it, Jean and Pyrrha do get a bit of the spotlight in that volume, so it makes sense that there would be certain soundtracks on the OST that relate to them. There was a point I was going to make earlier. Again, I mentioned it during the reaction there, but I didn't go into detail because obviously, you know, I'm not pausing throughout these music tracks because otherwise it would interrupt the flow of them. But I said there was a point I had in mind about shipping of characters, particularly Jean and Weiss. And, you know, there's a lot of tracks obviously in there where it felt like some of the early lyrics were about how Weiss obviously was rejecting Jean, and then it was about Jean sort of realising that Pyrrha actually was there and was interested in him, and it was about Pyrrha sort of waiting for Jean to realise that, and that kind of thing. And it got me sort of thinking, because I know that there's a bit of a conversation in the fandom about sort of Jean's pairing with certain characters in the franchise, and I know that obviously, you know, Pyrrha was very much set up as the love interest for Jean in volumes 2 and 3. But then of course, I know that there's a section of the fandom which to this day still sort of ships Jean and Weiss, and I'll be honest with you, I've never seen that ship, and I bring that up because if you look at how Jean and Weiss's relationship evolves, and if you look at particularly Volume 9 and how they interact with one another, how Weiss is the one who actually says some quite comforting words to Jean when he's at kind of a bit of a low point later as the volume progresses, after RWBY of course surrenders herself to the tree. I think a lot of people in the shipping space kind of went a bit mad over that moment and were like, oh, Jean and Weiss could be a thing, but I'm going to be honest with you. No, as much as I like John, I think he has had some great character development over the course of the franchise. And whilst, yes, Weiss is probably my favourite Team RWBY character, I would not ship them together, mainly just because I don't see them as being compatible, given that, you know, Weiss was very much not into the idea of basically becoming John's love interest in the early volumes. And so I feel like, why would that change? Even if, you know, they do become very good friends and all that. So, yeah, I think, no, Pyrrha is John's girl, and I don't know, I feel like pairing him with Weiss now, you know, in volume 10 or something, I don't know if I would like that. No, I see Weiss and John as being very good friends, but that's it. I don't see those characters as anything more than that. Yeah, for some reason those tracks, which very much allude to John and Pyrrha as partners, just made me think about that for some reason. I don't know why, it's just a bit random, but hey, might as well say that here right now. But yeah, other points that obviously came out as I was listening to that, you know, I mentioned how obviously This Will Be the Day, the original version of that from Volume 1, probably remains my favourite overall volume theme, but I think this one, for Volume 2, not This Will Be the Day, Time to Say Goodbye, sorry, I couldn't remember the name of it for a moment then, that probably is my second favourite. I feel like no other volume theme for me, with the possible exceptions of Volume 6 and 8, have really come close to matching how much I liked those early volume themes. Even Volume 3's opening theme for me just didn't quite get to the same level as This Will Be the Day or Time to Say Goodbye. I don't know, I just think they're very good volume themes, and like I said, it's interesting that those early volume themes, sorry, I'm just looking at my lighting on my screen, it feels like one half of my face really is in complete darkness. Maybe if I turn a bit like this. No? Also, you'll notice this side, there was a cardboard box there before. I forgot to move it off screen, and then realised when I started the reaction it was still there on the camera, and I thought, God dang it, I don't want that in the background, it looks like a right mess. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted. No, I think it's just interesting, like I say, that the volume themes of these early first 3 volumes do feel like they're so much darker than a lot of the volume themes that came afterward. And I know that obviously they relate to elements of RWBY's overall tone, but I just find it interesting that they're the darker ones, particularly, for me at least, at a time when the actual show itself was still, for the most part, quite jovial, up until obviously about sort of halfway through Volume 3. And yet, every volume since then has obviously had that element of darkness to them, and yet a lot of their opening themes have always felt a bit more hopeful or light-hearted in certain respects. Not entirely, but you know what I mean. So I just find that an interesting contrast. Probably says something about the foreshadowing and all that, the eventual tonal shift in the show. Perhaps, maybe. So yeah, I think some of my favourite tracks from that one, definitely Time to Say Goodbye, the volume theme, original version. Caffeine, definitely, I always love that one. It's just a great track. But also, I think Shine was quite good, Boot was quite good, Sacrifice was very interesting. I wouldn't say Sacrifice was one of my favourites, but I think the more and more I listened to it, the more striking it was in how it might relate to Ozpin. So again, possibly a bit of foreshadowing going on in that one, in terms of this idea of Ozpin stealing lives, and yet despite that, not being able to get any closer to his goal of defeating Salem. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting set of tracks overall. Those are the main real points coming out for me. I think the remixes later on, probably my least favourite of that particular OST. Yeah, I mean, they felt basically like nightclub versions of some of the existing tracks, which I was a bit whatever about. So yeah, I'm sure someone out there probably likes them, is probably sort of like, oh, Propagandist, what are you talking about? They're great and all that. I mean, yeah, they're fine tracks, they're just not for me personally. That's the only thing to say and all that. Alright, well, there's not much else really for me to pull out from what we were listening to there, so I think I'll sort of leave it over to you in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Thing is, like I say, it's just a shame that we don't have lyrics on screen, because whilst there are fan channels out there that have uploaded, say, individual songs with lyrics on them, Problem is, there's very few places where that's all compiled into one place, and otherwise I'd end up having to basically ask for permission from multiple fan channels and have to keep track of who I've asked permission of and things like that, and I just think, ugh, no. It's easier just to record the Internet Archive versions of them, even if that means we don't get lyrics on screen, but, well, it's fine, because I can still discern enough of the lyrics just to tell sometimes what's been sung and what therefore might kind of relate to certain characters and certain themes, that kind of thing. But like I say, I feel like such an old person, even though I'm only in my mid-30s, sat here going, there are times where I can't tell what's actually being sung because it kind of is competing with the actual music, especially when the music gets very loud and thumping. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only person, though, who has that. But like I say, it makes me feel like I'm turning into an old person all of a sudden. Okay, right, well, we'll start wrapping up here, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, leave your comments down below. Was there anything I sort of missed there? Any lyrics that I didn't quite hear, which you think it's worth flagging to my attention in terms of things that might be quite interesting and all that? I know, of course, these videos are going out a couple of weeks in advance. I'm not phrased that right. Sorry, what I meant to say is I know I'm recording these videos a couple of weeks in advance of when they're actually going to go out on the channel. So, obviously, by the time you see this particular reaction, I'll probably already have recorded, say, the Volume 3 OST and possibly Volume 4 and 5 OST reactions as well. So just bear in mind there's that bit of a time delay, to put it like that, between the video you're seeing and what I've already reacted to. God, sorry, I'm getting hiccups coming up my throat from my tea that I was drinking earlier. That's a sign it's probably time for me to wrap up and all. But yeah, anyway, right, well, yeah, I just made that point, so you're aware of it. Okay, well, in that case, let's wrap up here then, ladies and gentlemen, since I think that will do for the post-reaction discussion. Hope you enjoyed. Propagandist is my second channel. There's a link to my main channel, John Strategist, where I do gaming content, down in the video description for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, do like and all that, it's always appreciated. And I'll see you for the Volume 3 OST reaction next time, next Sunday. Goodbye, everybody.